Take 1,000. Hey, welcome to Viking Preparedness. I am Pastor Joe Fox. Going to shoot a video today on situational awareness. A lot of y'all have asked about it. I was going to actually shoot this video for Tactical Tuesday tips and techniques, but John Mosby's blog, Mountain Gorilla blog, and if you're not subscribed to it, you should be. He just came out this week with a piece. I always read what he comes out with, and as I started reading it, I thought it was going to be about prepping in general. It's all about situational awareness. So I stopped reading because I didn't want to taint what I wanted to tell you guys. But I want to read the blog, and the way it works on my email on my phone, it'll disappear down the bottom if I don't get to it. And so I'm going to shoot this video today, and I was thinking about hanging on to it till Tuesday, but I'll just give it to you. I can think of something else to do on Tuesday. So you should read his blog, and if I can, I'll put a link to it, but I don't know. That might be too hard for me to do. But you should read his blog and see where we intersect and where maybe we have differing opinions or other opinions or whatever. He writes at a master's level. I can write at a master's level. I don't think I speak at a master's level. And, you know, I have 2 3x5 cards of notes. That's it. So his may be more in depth. Don't know. Haven't read it yet. All right. Situational awareness. The first thing is, I guess like anything, you have to recognize the need to have situational awareness, to be situationally aware. You have to think that it's important. And to that degree, you have to be, as we say, switched on. You have to pay attention. Okay, that's all you need to know. Thanks. Really? That is it. But we're going to go deeper on that. But you have to be switched on. You have to pay attention. Most people, you guys are familiar with Jeff Cooper's color codes, conditions of readiness. White is totally unaware of what's going on. You're asleep, or you are totally engrossed in a computer game or your cell phone, which is where most people are most of the time. I watch people. I'm a student of humans. I study them. And when I walk through parking lots, I watch people a lot. And when I'm in shopping centers, and it's amazing the amount of people that are just totally unaware of their situation. And a lot of that has to do with cell phones that people are buried into. Even when I'm shooting videos with you, if you just go back and look at other videos, you know, because I could be setting it up for this video, I'm always looking around, and I'm even looking behind me because I can see behind me on the screen here. Be switched on, be aware, pay attention. So, okay, fine. What do you pay attention to? Really, I think it's 3 things. And they vary a little bit depending on where you are, but you have to pay attention to all 3. And the first is your environment. Whatever your environment is. Right here, this is my environment right now. I was paying attention to the environment today, and I made a video of some very situationally aware creatures. I posted it for the, Jarls and Berserkers earlier today. But you have to be aware of your environment, what's going on. Now, your environment could be the Walmart parking lot. Your environment could be the office cubicle land that you're in, or the highway that you're driving down, or whatever. But you have to be aware of it. We're going to get into more detail. I'm kind of going big to small today. The next thing you have to be aware of is other people. Because we're situationally aware, mostly, for most of y'all, to protect ourselves and our loved ones, those around us, right? That's why we're situationally aware. But you could also, that's kind of like the prey. You're like the prey. You don't want to be eaten, so you stay situationally aware. There's also the predator, situational awareness, and the techniques are kind of the same for all of them, but that's like I want to get something, right? You could be both, but you got to be aware of people. And then the third thing is you have to be aware of yourself. Self-aware. It's amazing how many people are not self-aware. What's that mean? I mean, these are like words, right? Lately, I had the flu, about a month ago, and I'm still kind of recovering from it. I have a cough every now and then, and I get short of breath. My father, who was in medical for a long time, told me, yeah, it could take 6 weeks till you're up. So I'm aware of that as I'm interacting with the environment and other people. My knee hurts, right? It's because I'm old. It's getting better, but I'm aware of that. So I'm aware of how I am interacting with the environment. If it's anything from walking and I have to step over this rock right here to, all right, if I have to run, I want to run this way because of my condition, currently. So that kind of self-aware. And I think we're going to get into some more stuff on that later. But basically, be aware of, pay attention to the environment, to other people, and to yourself, and how they all interrelate and interact. So how do you do that? You have to observe, right? I said pay attention. You have to actively observe. And it gets to the point, for those of us who have actually been trained to be situationally aware, which, here, and then having your life at worst or job at best depend on your situational awareness. And so at first you actively do it. And when your life depends on it, you're very actively doing it. But then it just becomes kind of second nature. I kind of do it without thinking about it a whole lot. But you have to observe what's going on around you, which is basically eyes, right? You have to see. And to see, you have to look. You don't just go like with your eyes. I wish I could show you what I'm seeing, but just no, you have to look, observe, and let it register. What is that? We're going to go into more on the thought process when you pick up these little things, but that is one. You have to observe. The second thing you have to do is hear, and to hear you have to listen. There are those who don't have eyes to see and ears to hear, right? It doesn't mean they don't actually see. It just means they don't deal with what they're seeing, or they don't perceive it, or they don't analyze it at all, what they're seeing. They just, there it is. Same thing with hearing. You hear all kinds of things. It's amazing. An exercise. Maybe, and I could do another video on that, on different exercises. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do that on a Tactical Tuesday. Exercises to improve one's situational awareness. But one exercise is to just sit down, shut up, get out a pen and paper, and start writing down everything you hear. It's amazing what you can hear when you pay attention. Now, most people go through life, they're totally clueless. They're not paying attention to what they're hearing. If you ask them, 3 hours later, what could you hear at that time, they wouldn't know. Well, I'm telling you, pay attention to what you hear, so it's registering it and you're logging it in. So yeah, you could sit down and make a list of everything you hear right now. If you could hear the sound of my voice. Smell. What can you smell? Smell can tell a lot. You've seen me do that on videos. I'll be walking, I'll smell like a cigarette, or I'll smell a dead skunk, or sometimes I'll smell a deer when they're in rut. But again, you have to be paying attention to what you smell. Most people's noses are tuned out or covered with Chanel No. 5 or Axe or something, and you can't smell. Use your sense of smell. So what you're doing when you observe is you're using all of your senses. You feel, right? When you walk with your feet, you can feel what the ground's like, and you can observe how it feels to your feet. The American Indians used to scorn the white man's shoes with the hard leather soles because they couldn't feel the ground, unlike a soft moccasin. You have to be able to be one with your environment, man. And we're going to get into that too. And then perceive. What do you perceive? See, right now, I'm not going to go through what I can hear. I can hear about 50 things off the top of my head right now. I can see a lot of things. I can smell. I can feel the temperature and the way the wind is blowing right now this way on my face. So that tells me things going out that way. And then what's your overall perception? And dare I say, your psychic perception. There's something to it, and I'm not trying to get new agey. I'm certainly not getting spiritual in the sense of, animists believe like this rock has a spirit and this tree has a spirit. And no. But there are vibrations. That's my kind of answer to it. But the bottom line is there's a lot more going on out here than just what you can see, hear, smell, and taste. Although, I don't go around licking leaves or anything. But you know what I mean? You have to experience where you are. That's probably the best way to phrase it. Experience what's going on. Take it all in. Don't just pass through it like you're in a chemical warfare suit all sealed off and nothing affects you. And so this is how you improve your situational awareness, is experience your surroundings. All right, so that's kind of going big to small. Okay, so how do you do that? Well, you have to work in certain zones, because you can't take it all in at once unless you're like some ninja mind matrix guy. The first thing you do is your bubble. I call it the bubble. These are terms I made up for myself. But it's like your bubble is usually about double handshake distance away. And you should be acutely familiar with everything in your bubble. What's the ground like? What are obstacles in the way of my feet? What is standing in the way that I could interact with it? It's a tree, it's a telephone pole, it's a mailbox, it's a person right there. How does that all affect where I'm going to go, what I'm going to do next? Excuse me, I have to yell at my dog. Hey, leave that alone. And so that's your bubble. And again, it's about, it's not a hard, fast rule, but about 8 or 9, 10 feet, something like that, right out there. Basically 2 steps. You got to take 2 steps and punch. What's in that bubble? And that's all around you. That's behind you too. How do you know what's behind you? Well, typically you're moving, right? You had to move to get to where you are. And so you paid attention as you went through it. And now if I didn't have this camera going, I could hear something behind me, right? And when I'm by myself and walking around, I every now and then do stop and turn around and look. And so your bubble, I'm just watching this airplane and wondering, why in the heck is it flying circles around Shofar Mountain? They're very interested in us. All right, so that's your bubble. The next thing is about 20 feet out, so double your bubble. And so what I do is I always know what's going on in my bubble, and then my vision kind of goes out to like the next layer out to the next. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not perfect at this, but the bubble is all around 360. The 20-foot out one goes about like to that, about back at this angle, like just what I can see by just looking a little bit back over my shoulder. And I'm kind of aware of what's going on there. Now, I'm still trying to pick up things with my other senses, and every now and then I turn around and then I'm looking that way, but I'm not constantly like turning around and looking 20 feet back. But it's just basically like what's out there, because, typically you're moving. And then beyond that is what I call far, further than 20 feet, all the way out to the horizon. And for that, I mostly concentrate, and I think you should too, on where are you going, right? I'm going in that direction. Okay, so that's the definite way I'm going to look far, because I want to start assessing things early so I can make decisions. And I'm looking for other options. Like if I can't go that way, I'm going to go that way. If I don't want to climb this hill, I can go around the hill that way. Oh, but there's a creek out there that I don't really feel like doing a water crossing because it's 33 degrees, blah, blah, blah. But it's kind of forward, right? The further one. So bubble all the way around, about double bubble, 20 feet out, back to about, put your arms behind you like that, back to there, and then far distance is kind of forward, your forward arc, if you will. And yes, 360, up, I pay attention to the airplanes and stuff like that. But that's how I kind of do it. My hands are cold. All right, so what are you doing? You're looking, you're feeling, you're sensing. That's where you're looking, in your bubble, in your double bubble, and in your far away. So you see things. I see a tree right there laying down, big jumbled collapsed tree. Looks older, has rocks and weeds coming up through it, and beyond that there's a shed. Okay, so that's what I see. There, got to keep moving the camera. What are you doing? Well, the first thing you do is you assess it. What is that? What am I looking at? What does it mean to me? Well, what that means to me right now immediately is, and this is more my psychology probably than anything else. Number one, I'm not going to run that way if I have to run, because it's this huge down tree with limbs this big. It's like an obstacle, right? That's the first thing I think. And then the second thing I think is somebody could be hiding in there. So then I kind of scan the lines of it to see if, there's a Head and Shoulders in there somewhere. And I do that very fast. But I'm assessing it. When you assess it, the next thing that kind of follows from that is you project. It's kind of like, okay, I see this. I understand this. What next? And the what next is kind of like, what if there's a person? If there's a person in there, they would be there, or there in that tree. And so I'm kind of assessing, I'm projecting, assess, project, what's going to happen next? Where's that going to go? What's that mean to me? And then you solve the problem. If there is a person, because see, situational awareness is for a purpose. It's not just to be super mind ninja. It's to solve problems. And so if I saw a person there, I would be going this way because it goes downhill very quickly and drawing my gun, right? And then probably moving that way. Course of action A, to get on the flank of whatever person was in there. What you're doing, and this is just a constant thing in your head, and at first it has to be deliberate. We teach people when we're patrolling. So you're walking through the woods with a group of other people with rifles, and you have your sector that you're being situationally aware of, right? It's like I'm responsible for this sector if anything happens. But what you constantly ask yourself is, if bullets start coming at me from this direction right now, where am I going? I'm going behind that tree. If bullets start coming at me from this direction right now, where am I going? I'm getting in behind this rock right here. And you're constantly assessing, and constantly as you move, asking yourself that. Why? To short circuit the OODA loop. Observe, orient, decide, act. So I don't, when bullets start going, or I see a head there with a person hiding in that bush, I don't have to think, oh my God, that's a person there. I wonder what they're doing here. Why are they on Shofar Mountain? Why are they looking at me? Could they be a danger to me? You're dead. Move! And know where you're moving, right? Don't move that way. It's all wide open. So it's a constant assessment that you're doing. So again, you assess, you project, you solve the problem. Potential problems. It's constant. You're just running it all the time. And like I said, most people are totally switched off. They're not even aware of what's out there, let alone trying to anticipate, project problems, and solve them. But you can. You can make it a game. And the more you do it, the easier it gets. Okay, so what are you aware of? So, we're looking at that. We're walking through that. Do. A lot of people are like, I just see trees, right? Same thing with Walmart. You're walking through a Walmart parking lot. I just see cars and a couple people. And my phone. I'm talking to my boyfriend or my girlfriend. I'm looking for a coupon. Whatever. What are you aware of? The first thing, and again, it's a concept, is you have to, recognize is not a strong enough word. You have to experience, you have to take in totally what I call the pattern of life. Pattern of life is used in another way for something else, but it's basically what is normal in this environment. And then once I know what normal is, it's easier to determine abnormal. When we're on patrols in the military, once we get outside of the FOB, the FOB, the forward operating base, or the front lines, or we get off the helicopter and we move away from the landing zone, or we made a beach landing and we get up into the hinterland, the dangerous immediate part is over. The next thing we do is take a security listening halt. That's what we call it. And so basically you get into the environment you're going to be operating in, away from everything you just left, and everybody forms a perimeter. You get down and you face out, and you stay that way for about 15 or 20 minutes. Not doing anything except observing what's going on. The sights, the sounds, the smells, the feeling, right? And you're just trying to pick up what is the pattern of life out here. What do the birds sound like once everything calms down? For those of you who are hunters, you know that when you move into an area to hunt, you're disturbing all kinds of wildlife. I don't care how ninja sneaky Joe you think you are, but after you're there, assuming you're still and not putting off, lots of scent and pheromones and stuff like that, the pattern of life comes back. and normal comes back, and squirrels go running around, and birds are landing on this tree above your head, and all that. The pattern of life covers everything from sound, what are normal sounds here, all the way to, again, I'm not trying to be new agey on you, but there's something to it, psychic stuff, the vibes, the energy, the vibrations, whatever. Again, I'm not trying to be a new ager, but there's something to what's out there. And so what is normal look? What is normal smell? What is normal movement? What is normal psychic energy, for lack of a better term? Yeah, and I said, so once you identify what normal is, then you can see abnormal. Now, if you are in the middle of zombie arena, Dawn of the Dead or something, normal is very dangerous. You're kind of trying to notice normal, right? Normal is, there's 40 zombies out here. Okay, well, I guess you better notice that and take some action. But generally speaking, unless you're just like a really paranoid person, the world is not out to get you. The world is okay. And so you have to learn what normal is so you can pick out the predators, right? Or the danger. They teach police to a degree, and they certainly teach first responders, firefighters, paramedics, EMTs, a concept called scene size up. And it's like, there's a car wreck and the car is lightly on fire and there's somebody trapped in the car and there's, chaos abounds, and you show up. You don't immediately run to pull the person out of the car, because in doing so, you may not have noticed that the electric wire is down in the puddle, sparking that you're about to run through. So you stop and you become situationally aware, right? You figure out what the heck's going on and then take action. So they even teach that to certain professions. All right, you're looking for movement when you're walking. Like, you see things, you see color, you see shapes, you pick out things that are abnormal. Like if it's all trees and then I see a round shiny thing, it's like, okay, rocks aren't round and shiny. What is that? I'm not necessarily walking up to it, but I definitely want to figure out what it is. And then the next thing you're looking for is movement. Things move. When they move, you should notice it. Why do I keep? Because the sun moves. It keeps putting me in shadow because I'm being very spooky. So notice movement. And again, anything from that bush seems to be changing shape. Oh, it's a bear and it's coming this way. And oh, look, there's two little bears with it. Danger, Will Robbins. To you saw a group of 3 utes walking this way, and then all of a sudden you notice them notice you, and they turn and start coming towards you. You should probably notice that, right? Movement indicates intent to a large degree. And so you're looking for movement. You're looking for things that are disturbing the pattern out there. You're looking for interaction. Relationships. I am constantly, train my kids to do it by making a game of it. We constantly look at everybody. And like I said, you have to assess, project, solve the problem. We're constantly assessing who they are, what they do, why they're here. There's a funny scene where they kind of do that a little bit in Shaun of the Dead, if you've ever seen that movie. They're sitting in a bar and they're making up stories about people in the bar. But interaction, watch the interaction of people. If you see a guy over here and a guy over here, and you notice them, and then you notice them look at you and make contact with each other, and the one guy nods, something's fixing to happen, right? You should have noticed that. You should have picked up on that. Next thing you're going to see is movement, right? Be aware. And so you're looking for interaction. You're looking for, you're in a restaurant. And so, of course, you're watching everything that's going on in the restaurant. But over here, you see an argument kind of starts out kind of low and hush. It starts getting heated. Volume starts coming up. Maybe somebody pounds a fist on the table. Be aware of what's going on. Because if Joe Bob or Sally Jill, I've never made up a woman's name like that before, pulls a gun out, things could get interesting quick, right? And so be aware of what's going on. That's the pattern of life, and now something is abnormal, and so you're watching interactions. You're watching interactions of animals. You're watching interactions, again, a movie example. It's a meme in movies. If I'm sitting here right now and all of a sudden, 3 deer go, it's like, oh, that's cool. Look at that. And then all of a sudden, like little squirrels go running that way. And then birds come running that way. And then more things, armadillos are running that way. You know what I'm going to do? Kate! Pew! We're running away because something's coming that way, right? You're watching the interaction of things with the environment. When you're hunting, when I'm hunting, once I get in a place and it's all secure and fine and everything goes back to normal, you can tell when there's large animals moving around over there where you can't even see because the birds react to it. They either make more noise or they all shut up or they all fly away or something like that, or squirrels will start screaming at something. That lets you know they're interacting, and it gives you information that you can be aware of. And then what do you do with that? You assess it. You think, what is that? Why is it making that noise? What could possibly cause that? You project what's going to happen next. Well, it was over there, now it's over there. It's probably going to come over here, and then you solve the problem. My problem is there's a clear space right there, and I'm going to be ready to shoot into it when I see what's coming, right? That's just a quick example off the top of my head. Yeah, and so then that's kind of how I finished up. Always ask yourself, what next? I see this, okay, what's next? It's kind of like when you're walking, where am I going to go next if I get shot at? And always ask yourself, assess, what does it mean? What am I observing, seeing, smelling, hearing, feeling? What does that mean? And once you figure out what that means and how it affects you, then what should I do about that? Or what should I be prepared to do about that? Or it could mean one of 3 things. If it means this, I'm going to do this. If it means this, I'm going to do this. If it means this, I'm going to do this. And all the while you're thinking, you're not closing your eyes and thinking, you're continuing to take in input. I will tell you that going on a real patrol behind enemy lines, when you are looking for something and they are all looking for you, is exhausting. And I'm not talking about whatever equipment you're carrying with you. It's just the mental tuned in to everything that's going on and paying 100% attention with your brain. It's exhausting. So you're not going to be perfect at it when you start out. But the first thing is to decide that you do need to be situationally aware, and you have to be aware of what's going on in your environment. Don't be the guy or gal who's like, right? I mean, keep it real. Be cool about it. Keep it on the down low, but pay attention to what's going on. Constantly be looking. Keep your head on the swivel. All right. Hey, I covered that very quickly. Now I get to go read John Mosby's write-up, and I am really interested in your questions because we can take this and go elsewhere with it. I mean, there's hours to discuss on situational awareness. Have you had a job where you had to be situationally aware? The first job I had where I had to be situationally aware was a lifeguard in a really big pool. You have to be aware of what's going on. All right. I will see you out there.